discounted price. A la carte means that you owe the
Say something, John.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Okay. 3. Decide if you want bone-in, boneless, or cauliflower wings, and then determine the delivery.
Did you know that sickle cell disease affects people from all races and ethnicities?
Okay, something funky is happening.
Yeah, it's like a weird buzz.
Yeah. Okay, say something.
Yep.
Okay,
Can
great.
you hear me?
Yeah, I think so. Yo, welcome. Welcome. Can you hear that?
You go live?
Oh man, I don't believe it. Hey Alice, how you doing, baby?
I'm doing fine. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Well, I can tell you're doing great driving around that red hot Lamborghini. Well, listen, baby, you think you can come back here in the evening, say around 8 o'clock?
Baby, I would just love that.
I live right here, 1526 West Star Avenue, right here in the heart of Brooklyn. All right, baby, so I'll see you tonight, okay?
All right, baby, I'll be there. Bye.
Oh man, I'm inside this house, get some sleep. Yeah, because I'm going to do some work tonight. Hello?
Hello, baby. How are you doing?
Who's this speaking?
It's me, Shelda.
Shelda. You mean Shelda the Wild Stallion?
It's me.
Oh, baby, how you doing? Listen, I haven't seen you in a long time. Let's have dinner tonight. I mean, right here at my place. Is 8 o'clock good for you?
Anything is good for me, Mr. Bolay.
Oh, you remember where I live, right?
How can I forget? I'll see you tonight.
Oh,
Bye.
goodbye.
I'm right here, Bobby.
Click.
Oh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Thank you.
Who is it?
Me, Tracy.
Tracy Moore. What's up, baby?
I need to borrow some sugar. Do you have any?
No, I have some honey. I mean, it's not sugar, but it's okay. It's okay.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
Yo, Tracy, you looking good these days. Turn around, let me get a good look at you, baby. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? You looking kind of firm. I mean, firm. How about me and you getting together tonight, say around 8 o'clock?
That sounds nice. I'll see you at 8.
Okay. Wow, there is no place like home, because tonight I'm gonna be in the place to be. I got these fine women coming to see me at 8 o'clock, and I'm gonna... Wait a minute. Am I crazy? I got these women coming to see me at the same doggone time? What? Oh, man. I gotta get some sleep. I'm not even gonna think about it. If you can't be with the one you love. Oh my God, what time is it? Who is it?
It's me, Alice. Miss Zelda. Also, Tracy.
Oh no,
Yeah.
it's me, Ted. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Oh boy. Come in, ladies. I can explain everything.
Explain indeed. You
Now, first of all, listen, I'm single, I'm free, so I don't have any commitments to nobody. I just got confused with my time. I didn't want this to happen.
You must think you were really stupid, Boo. Come on. You think I would really go for something
Oh,
like
wait,
this?
wait, ladies, quiet. Who is it?
Hey, Felicia.
Yo. Welcome, everyone. Happy Monday. Today has been a rocky start, but it's okay because we are here. We are not going to let anything hold us down. We are resilient and we are happy to just get to fellowship with y'all again for another hour on another day. And, we're blessed. That's what we know for sure. But if y'all are tuned in for the first time, y'all are listening to KVOB 89 FM, where we are telling stories our way, and y'all are tuned into The Stimulus with Ciore and Jonathan.
Yo, what's going on, family? It's your boy, Jonathan, and yeah, we are right here in the building, ready to celebrate another Monday, another week, and we're ready to get it happening. And Kiara, you said it best, man. Ain't nothing about to stop us from being great.
Nothing is
We
about to
gonna make
stop
it happen.
us. Nothing is about to stop us. Oh, man. So how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I did a lot of relaxing. I was at the house majority of the time, kind of focusing on myself. And, I got to really reflect and think about, what's important to me, kind of align myself with, some different personal priorities and just get myself prepared for the week. So my weekend was good. I'm looking forward to everything that's in store moving here forward. I can't believe that we're in a whole nother month. Like the fact that it's August right now is almost blowing my mind. Like that means that we have been in 2021 for 8 months. That's crazy, right?
That is crazy. It's super crazy. It's super crazy. And not only is it
Yeah.
super crazy, it's like it's been over half a year. I remember when it was 2021 and we were like, okay, we have finally made it out of 2020. Thank God.
Right.
It felt like 2020
Right.
would never end. And then here we are, 2021. Everyone's got their goals. 2021 is about to be the year. Then you're like, okay, that was the first quarter. I may not have gotten anything, but at any point we thought COVID could have came back. Well, then it was like, okay, quarter two is over. All right, have we accomplished any of our goals? And now it's August. And so it is quite, it's like, yo, if you haven't gotten started by now is the time. Now's the time.
Now is the time to get started. If you waited these other 8 months, you almost running out of excuses. You know what I'm saying? Like you probably should go ahead and start that action plan.
Oh, 100%. For me, the weekend was smooth. I feel like there are
How was your weekend? Yes, tell us.
yeah, I was ready. So I feel like the weekend was smooth, and I feel like over the last few months, I have just been going. And last weekend, I had the opportunity to really reset, go out of town, just be able to think about things that don't happen in my day to day. One of the things I was talking about is on the weekend, you can relax or you try to relax, but you're still thinking about everything that's been going on all week. And it's just like, it doesn't matter how much TV you watch, how much food you eat, how much alone time you have. You're just thinking about the same old stuff that you have to focus on the next week. However, though, last week I was able to just basically interrupt that time, and I went out of town, and I got to talk about different stuff, meet different people in a different environment. So that felt more like relaxing doing all that than just sitting at my house. And I feel like this weekend I really felt as relaxed this weekend as I felt last weekend, but I was here. And so ultimately, all I'm trying to say is I feel good. I had a great weekend.
Hey, you look good. Your melanin is really going crazy right now.
Well,
Like
thank
you were really
you.
shining. It looks like I don't know what you put on your skin, but it's working.
Thank you for nodding at that, CJ. Thank you. He's like, yeah, she does look nice today. I appreciate that. All the good energy.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, yes,
man.
yes,
So, what do
man.
you have good for
Get
us
on that
today?
Ciore skin routine. What do I have for us today, man? Always got a little something special. So let's talk. Let's talk about the five hiring hacks to find the right talent for your startup. So, I just got a little hints, as we all are building those businesses, as we are working on those goals. Some of us might have those objectives to hire out and, to start to scale. So, just got a little tips from Forbes magazine to kind of talk about, what that looks like, how that process is, and, hopefully you can gain a few tidbits, a few takeaways from here. So first, you want to get the most from job sites. So having your vacancy seen by as many ideal candidates as possible means being present where they are looking. So the higher the volume of applicants, the better. More choice, more variety, and more competition. Everybody wins. A job site that we found from Forbes is We Work Remotely for Hiring Jobs. So we work remotely for hiring jobs. You all, that is one recommended source if you're looking for remote support for your business. Next we have is Manage the Candidates. So if you're advertising in the right place, you'll have more applicants than ever. So with this, you want to create another set of challenges. Many a great candidate has slipped through due to inefficient hiring processes. We all lose emails and attachments get buried within threads. We even misplace paper. There's a lot of holes in the bucket of candidates that make them easily overlooked. And that's not ideal for finding talent. Sometimes it can just suffer from human error. So putting different systems in place for you to be able to keep track of your talent, manage them, and follow up is very key, because it's not always on your talent to follow up with you. Sometimes you got to do your part, and you got to make sure that it's reciprocated. It's a give and take type situation. You want to feel like your candidates feel like they're going to be coming into a responsible environment. So it's good that both parties are giving a good first impression starting out. You also want to learn from their past. So what that means is making sure that you use software for managing your candidates. So everything is in one place, communication, all those things. And then you also want to have the who style interviews to learn from their past. So in order for that, you want to generate answers that are indicative of true ability and character, who they really are. Examples of past and current behaviors can give insights to what a better candidate's tendencies are. And by using this method, you get a super clean and clear picture of where they've been in the past and maybe heading in the future. So it's good to just get to know your candidates for who they are as a person, rather than just asking a bunch of professional questions like, tell me your metrics from your last job. You want to make sure, first of all, you even like working with this person. Overcome your biases. So this might be a common sense to some entrepreneurs, but we all inherently have biases when we hire. So most of us like to hire people that are just like us, and we've all been guilty of doing this. But you want to be able to overcome those biases, and sometimes the best way to do that is to have someone else from your team cross-interview that same person. Maybe it's somebody on your team, maybe it's another colleague, another peer, someone's judgment that you trust to come in, talk to that person, and give you some added perspective. Now, it all comes down to this being a coin flip. How do you know that beyond a shadow of a doubt that the person you have hired will be perfect for that role? Unless you have a crystal ball, you pretty much don't. There's no way of predicting every eventuality or preempting how each candidate might respond to every challenge. Your concerted hiring efforts can only take you so far, and then it just comes down to chance. So flip your coin, tell them the good news, and commit to making a hire for long-term success. And most importantly, don't ignore your gut feelings and stop assessing someone's suitability for your company even when they're in place. So trust your gut. When you make that decision, trust that decision, put them in place to be successful. So that's something very important that, entrepreneurs, and even as you start to move and matriculate through your own business, if you're working your W-2 right now and you have your side business, those are always things to take in consideration.
Well, that's a lot. It's like it's not a it's kind of a lot, but
A little bit.
it just a little bit. But I feel that. So, are you excited about the show today?
Am I excited about the show today? Of course. Of course. I mean, how can you not be excited after overcoming technical difficulties, right?
Right? I feel like we're
Yeah.
almost ready. Like we're almost ready. We're making things
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. And we got a really special guest today that's coming on our show. That I want to talk a little bit about. His name is CJ Swanson. So CJ is going to be bringing us 11 years of learning the problems and solutions of what he's been dealing with in the senior housing sector. He has a track record of pitching concepts to Discovery Communications, MTV, Disney, and he's also a co-collaborator for Give a Shot, which is a Walgreens campaign. Pretty cool stuff. He spends most of his time creating sustainable strategies to impact Scandia retirement community, and he's also founder of Concierge Tech. So, right after our commercial break, we're going to be bringing in CJ, learning a little bit about his experiences, things that he's learned and where he looks to move forward in the future. So, we'll be right back after this quick commercial. You are tuned in to the Stimulus KBOB 89.9. We'll be back in a second.
Tulsa Transit is excited to introduce the Route 969 Workforce Express Network. The new Highway 169 Corridor Job Shuttle, WEN, is a fixed route service offering access from North Tulsa and Turley. Stops include Macy's, Amazon, Whirlpool, and Port of Catoosa. Save time and money when you ride the WEN Route 969. And for your protection, buses are cleaned daily. Visit tulsatransit.org for more details.
If your credit starts with a 3, 4, 5, or 6, this is for you. Did you know that it's costing you to have bad credit? You can't get qualified for that house or apartment and you're paying high interest rates, along with paying high car insurance, and it may be costing you that job that you really want. What are you waiting on? Take more of a holistic approach. Pick up the phone and call the Credit Shiro at 832-642-1554 or text CAMP to 76626. With 13 amazing services, we restore and repair generations to come. Once again, call the Credit Shiro at 832-642-1554 or text CAMP to 76626. If you know better, you do better. Only the Credit Shiro can help you to save the day.
We're ready for life beyond COVID-19, beyond boundaries. It's time to move beyond, connect beyond, celebrate beyond, live beyond. And the vaccine is our best shot at getting there. Get your free vaccine at vaccinate918.com today. Brought to you by the Tulsa Health Department.
Did you know that sickle cell disease affects people from all races and ethnicities? Sickle cell disease can look like you and sickle cell disease can look like me. You could carry the sickle cell trait and never even know it. The state of Oklahoma and the supporters of Families with Sickle Cell Disease Incorporated are invested in educating Oklahomans about sickle cell disease and other inherited blood disorders and traits. For more information, visit us at www.oksickleinfo.org.
P&J Publishing Incorporated announces a new book release, The Entrepreneurial Woman. The World is Your Playground by Angela K. Chambers, MES. Available right now for pre-order at payhip.com/b/nbac. The book release is set to hit June 1st, 2020. If you're ready to publish your book, visit us online at www.pnjpublishing.com. Unleash that book that's inside of you with P&J Publishing.
Everybody's talking about you and her together. Could you do that to me?
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. So we're excited. We're excited that we're rolling with Apprentice today. We're excited just to be here and to be a part of conversation. And we are also excited for you, CJ, just gracing us with your presence. How you feeling?
I appreciate it. Good. I'm feeling good. Thanks for definitely having me on the show. Ciore and Jonathan, you all are solid people. And so I was excited when you all invited me to have fun and party like a rock star on set here.
Well, good. Do you have anything special that you're looking to tell the people today?
Man, I would say my biggest thing is I love senior housing and real estate, and then seeing how also more minorities and leaders can get access to becoming more senior housing operators and investors, because we definitely need great leaders of diverse backgrounds. And I'm big on opportunity zones and seeing what that looks like in transforming from the market where I am now in mostly suburban areas or midtown areas, and kind of branching out to maybe even the inner city and urban areas, and how we can still bring quality housing for seniors there too. So that's my biggest thing, figuring out how to continue to work hard and grow my projects to give people of diverse backgrounds access to that.
Well,
Hey, that's the politically correct response. No.
Black folks. Black folks in leadership.
Hey, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been here in Tulsa for about 6 years. I came from West Palm Beach, Florida, and I grew up in Edmond, Oklahoma. So I've had a great experience in being raised middle class, but my mom gave me access where we were always going to church on the east side of Oklahoma City. So learning a lot of ways how we could always impact the community.
Isn't there a church over there called Mount Olive?
Yeah, Mount Olive.
Is
exactly.
that where you went?
Well, I went to Mount Carmel Baptist Church, and my pastor, K. Jerome Free, is cousins with, I think, the pastor of Mount Olive. There's some connection they had. Yeah.
Sucks. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
had a good friend in college who went to Mount Olive, so I've been there once.
I love Mount Olive. Yeah, great gospel, they had great events.
Well, good. So you're from Edmond.
Yes, from Edmond. And then after both of my parents passed away, I've been a caregiver to both of them. And so that really got me intrigued with senior housing and the process that people go to as families, either have to downsize or if they go through a disease of some sort. Both of my parents had cancer. My dad was in Vietnam, so he had Agent Orange. And then my mom had breast cancer. So just going through those challenges, it really opened my eyes at a young age, the importance of retirement, making sure you have the right resources, and make sure you have the right access to great housing.
What is Agent Orange?
Agent Orange is a bioweapon that they used in the Vietnam War to actually attack the Vietnamese, but it ended up hurting our own soldiers.
Mm.
And so I'm really big on definitely health, wellness, and making sure that we don't have any other catastrophes like that. Because Agent Orange, I mean, it's similar to what we're going through with the pandemic of bio warfare.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that about your parents,
Yeah,
and I'm happy that you're here, and definitely sorry for your loss.
thanks.
But also super excited to have your presence on the call to be able
Thanks.
to tell us about just like overcoming and how you're using that experience to keep pushing forward and to help more and more people.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest thing you learn, that life is a gift. And once you lose people very close to you that support you and love you, you have to then kind of go within yourself. And I use God as my core, and He keeps driving me and keeping me connected to great people like yourself, Ciore and Jonathan, and just kind of keep that energy and momentum going and see how I can be a resource for you all or people here in the community.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so when you decided, based on your experiences, that you wanted to figure out how to create more opportunity for yourself, what made you exactly decide that you couldn't do that with the typical 9 to 5 job?
Man, so you sound like my sister. Exactly, I've always lived life on the edge, completely on the edge. Sometimes I wonder about myself. I'm like, my gosh, I could. I'm definitely. I think it's important to be married, but when you are wanting to be an entrepreneur, you really have to find someone that gets your strategy and why you do certain crazy things because you see the outcome.
Yeah.
And so I've always been. Sometimes you're on an island as an entrepreneur because you're always scrapping, and then you get some fresh air, and then you scrap some more. And so I've always just had that drive of I want to live in purpose. I want to live in purpose. I want to wake up with purpose and not trying to be forced to hit someone else's goals
Mm-hmm.
because I'm great at I love making other people money, but at the time of my life now I want to really hone down on how I want to bring an impact. And I was just the other day listening to Nipsey Hussle's story and how he's really impacting still to this day after he passed the legacy of building generational wealth, but also helping inner city kids and people of all ages get access to great opportunities and great living situations and great jobs and great experiences. And so I'm really big on figuring out how I can still make money in the private sector and through entrepreneurship to really give back to giving opportunities to people in urban areas and making these areas where they're desirable to not just black people, but to all races and even technology.
You know who you sound like?
Uh
Me? No, I'm just
oh.
kidding.
That's a great
You're like
compliment.
me. Well, thank you. I take that as a compliment. But I am extremely passionate about economic development as well as entrepreneurship, and so much of the work that I'm doing in the day to day is building up entrepreneurs to be able to stimulate generational wealth within their families. And I'm particularly doing it in terms of how do we build out education programs and provide capital so that people can, not just people but black individuals specifically, can build brick and mortar businesses, and not only build brick and mortar businesses but to franchise them as well. How powerful would it be to create brick and mortar franchises that are black owned, and then put a black operator in charge of the other franchises that are also originally owned by black entrepreneurs. And so that's a project that I'm currently working on right now at the TDC. And, I find that while I have an entrepreneurial spirit and I like to continue to dabble in business consulting on the side, which, it is a passion of mine to actually help incorporate strategies into tangible businesses on a one-on-one basis. But when you think about what does that look like for communities as a whole, it gets really tricky to do that. And so, I just discovered economic development for the first time, like not even a year ago.
Awesome.
And so it's crazy because, one thing I talk about on the show is like, I'm a mechanical engineer by background who was in oil and gas. And then it's like, okay, you're in Boston and then you're working in all this, management consultant. And like, you don't even really think about what's happening on the city level, the more you're removed from it. But kind of like you said, you'll have these experiences that impact you at a personal level where you're like, oh my goodness, I got to get involved. Oh my goodness, like I have to serve more people. Like, oh my goodness,
Yes.
like what is going to be my part to play? And when you say like you got to surround yourself with people like who get you, like I got to surround myself with people who get me. So I understand
That's
that.
important. That's awesome. Economic development. So now you're seeing how you're smart enough to do and get things on your own resources, but then you see that it still draws you to there's people that don't have that, and
Yeah.
it's easy to get yours. And so I do believe it's important to always take care of yourself first and read and be knowledgeable, but then there has to be beyond just getting money. Money's a default. It is the core of how we move commerce, but you have to have a mindset of a leader that money's a resource and a tool, and I'm going to leverage it to the fullest, but also I'm going to leverage my network and my wisdom.
Yeah, 100%. What you think, John?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think that that's really what it's all about. It's really all about you utilizing, your gifts, your talents, and your superpowers to be able to contribute to the greater good. To be able to actualize what you're passionate about and go find that purpose. And that purpose is typically, contributing to other people. So, I mean, I definitely believe in the vision, and I mean, I guess we're all similar in the fact that we all find purpose in being able to contribute into that and being able to build community, and not just community, but being a part of helping the world. So, I mean, I'm right there with you, and I mean, I'm definitely inspired myself. I think it's really important to be able to do that and be able to talk about it as often as possible, because you never know like who you're speaking to, and you never know if they have that fire burning within them as well. And maybe, just as simple as having that conversation can help just light the flame and ignite more people to kind of get behind that purpose. So, I mean, I'm right there with you. I mean, I talk about it all day. I kind of drive myself crazy about finding that purpose.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
That's great. I love the name of the show is Stimulus because it's so important to keep that in the mind that to really expand. I've built businesses. Let me say that I've built businesses for a long time, and at the end of the day, capital will either destroy you or it will just stop you from going to the next level to really impact. And that's so important of having a stimulus and a moving on how capital moves and when you need it and when you don't need it and when you can make it by sales or increasing rent or increasing more marketing dollars, or when you just need a stimulus and a push for more capital to really sustain and be purposeful and intentional with your business. And so I think that's a lot of cool things about what you're doing is giving black people not just where they're just a small business owner, but now with our economy, with technology, our crises and recessions are going to become quicker. And when you're a small business owner and you think small minded, these corrections in the market will take your business and literally just make you obsolete because the capital is not there or you're undercapitalized or you're not reaching the people because now they have to change where they're not going out to eat anymore or they're not going to your particular grocery store. So that's the thing that's important to yes, you can think small and that's cool, but you also have to be strategic with economic
Oh yeah.
values
Oh yeah.
as a leader and entrepreneur that you can't just be okay I'm starting a fashion business and not dabble in knowing how economies work.
You know what, you are hitting on something, and I'll tell you what you're hitting on, okay? You're hitting on this idea of money isn't just current, like money just isn't something that you should want to make your life better. Like money isn't just like this object that, comes with lots of good benefit. But when people say money is a tool, it is. It does help you build, but not only does it help you build, but you have to be strategic around like how money works. You can't just like make
Yes.
it and then use it for what you want. You have to make it, understand how money is flowing in order to keep it, in order to
Yes.
grow it, in order to leverage it. And And it's funny because like sometimes I laugh because I'm so interested in, if I'm watching television, I'm watching it for entertainment, right? But then there are other people out here, I'm not going to name any names, John, who will, watch the news, like understand what's happening, like what's happening in government, understand like what's happening when it comes to like local politics, just understanding how these shifts in life are actually impacting the way that money is moving.
Yes.
Because if you want to be able to leverage money to its full capacity, then you have to know where it's flowing. And so it's like you can't be an entrepreneur and not care about where money is coming from, because you could literally lose all of the money that you've earned and like sacrifice for, like if you're not careful. And it's one of those things where it's easy to overlook until you start making money.
Exactly. And when you start being in charge of people's livelihoods, now
Oh
that's a
no.
whole nother ball game where you have to get out of your pride now, because now your own ignorance can destroy you not providing for not only your own family, but for people's family that show up every day to work in a retirement community, or to move your fashion line, or to move your media company.
Dang.
Yeah, and I mean, I think something that's important when you think about money is the thought of being blessed to be a blessing.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to utilizing resources, I think we're all blessed with the ability to obtain, well, not all of us, but to be blessed with the ability to obtain resources and money means that we have to then be a conduit, and share those same resources with those around us. That's widely important as to why it's important to understand money. But when you understand how to understand money and where it comes from, then implementation is a lot more key, and you can see your money grow, and then you can see that impact spread, even larger scale.
I like that, Jonathan. I'm big on crowdfunding events, on how entrepreneurs, just as we have baby showers, I believe the importance of having crowdfunding events for entrepreneurs where they can get that support from the local, because there is so much access to capital just between us three and our people we know, that we can get a project going or momentum move without the red tape. And that's what the cool thing about, once you really start doing economic development, other people can really start using $500 and $200 to really be impactful towards a business or initiative.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
For
Okay.
sure.
Well,
So
let me ask this. What's your next question, John?
no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, can you tell us a little bit about, the businesses that you currently have going on?
Yes, so the main business is Concierge Tech, and we are a senior housing technology company, and we're also in real estate too. So we can be a general partner or software company. So we're really building our network of real estate investors and real estate developers, where we can provide our software to their communities as they're building them, and provide hardware like fall sensors to even companionship. We have these little robots that can even talk back to the resident and do medication management. So we're really we understand the real estate side, but we also understand the service side, that you constantly have to continue to learn about your resident and not just get complacent with understanding that, okay, this is what Mildred likes or this is what Mary likes, but really understanding who they are, what they like, what makes them trigger, or what makes them get out of bed even though they feel like they're aging. So we're really big on that. And then the second business is Scandia Retirement Community, and that's been around for 40 years. And I helped them revamp their branding and increase revenue as they were going through a transition of revamping their exterior and interior parts of their property. So this is my second retirement community to work for, and I love it. And then also, I have been involved with just helping small real estate investors get access to certain properties through a software that I use called Deal Driven.
Okay, that's excellent. So, do I guess CJ is with all these businesses? They all sound like they're really influential. And have you found a way to be able to kind of blend them together and create your own ecosystem? Because it sounds like they're all like really closely related.
Yes, and that was important to me because I like to have a serious focus on accomplishing a goal and making sure I stay totally focused on seeing it be fruitful. Being fruitful is very important to me because being an entrepreneur, it means that I'm actually sustained. And so when I work on a project and you keep using time, resources, network, phone calls, keep hitting the pavement, and then you start seeing some fruit start coming into fruition, then you start knowing that, okay, this strategy is working. And then when it comes completely sustained, and then I like to launch into something else that either complements that business that I came from. And so that's what got me intrigued with starting Concierge Tech, because software that focuses on resident management is not out there yet and it hasn't been proven. There is a lot of accounting software and all the other stuff of that sort of how you build and construction, but really resident management is building the profile so the resident can age in place but not feel like they're moving to die, but they're moving to be empowered and still maintain their independence, where they can still make decisions for themselves but still have some support that is through technology and the human touch. Still, it's important to have human. No matter how advanced technology gets, humans still are the best commodity and resource, and the best thing you can have with your organization is human people that are compassionate and wise on helping you move your mission forward, but you also being able to invest in their dreams also. So then when they come to work, it's a part of their lifestyle that they're becoming better, and that they're not just pushing your agenda, but they're pushing their own self fulfillment and their goals. And that's what I like to create, like you said, an ecosystem. So how can I create an organization where people feel it's flexible, but we still have a common goal, but it still benefits them as we grow? And that's through bonuses, compensation, figuring out what their drivers are. Sometimes people are driven by money, sometimes people are driven by more vacation time. So you just have to kind of figure that out. Now, Jonathan, can you relate
That's
also
dope.
being from real estate? How have you kind of seen the market and seen how you can help people? Because I know we kind of cross paths, and that's why I honestly enjoy your energy, and I feel like I definitely consider you a part of the ecosystem that we definitely want to build together with real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. You said how have I seen the market and how do I feel like I'm using it to help people?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're in a very interesting market. First, it's interesting in the fact that it is a seller's market in terms of real estate. Now is a great time to sell your houses, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're thinking about it, reach out to me. And but at the same time, it's also interesting to buy. There's low inventory right now. However, interest rates are also low. So it might be a little bit more, it might be a little bit more of a lift to find that house. It's going to be a little bit more competitive, but interest rates are low. So they're not as low as they were earlier this year. They're steadily rising, but they're rising in small increments. So the market is interesting because you see benefits on both sides. Right now with this inventory being historically low, it is causing unique challenges for those folks that are looking to find the home of their dreams, because of course everybody else thinks that house they like is nice as well. So you do have that competition. However, you can buy a house for cheap right now. You can buy a lot more house for your money. So, if you can withstand the inventory shortage, I mean, you could come out well. So what I like to do is how I like to use that to help people. Well, first, I believe in education. I like to learn as much as I possibly can about real estate. I learn as much as I possibly can about ownership, and I learn as much as I possibly can about that type of progression and building wealth. So with my expertise in real estate, I'm able to help people that look like us, black and brown people, and really anybody at all, because I've worked with all types of clients, and I'm able to help them through their process. I'm able to meet them where they are. I'm able to find out what their goals are and get them into a home. So it's very important. Real estate is extremely important because it is the number one step to building wealth. That's the one thing our community is lacking is wealth. One thing that blew my mind a few weeks. So when we had a few events that were following the centennial, we had Hill Harper come in and talk about the different technologies and the different efforts that he's been working on. And one thing that he said when he was speaking that stuck out to me that I'll never forget is that in 1865, the black population in America owned less than 1% of the wealth. And then in 2021, however long later, that number has not changed that much. So think about that. It has been over 100 years, well over 100 years, and we feel like we're making progress, but the amount of ownership that we have in this country is still right around where it was before. So me thinking like, okay, how can I contribute to that? Real estate. Not only just being a real estate agent, but also being someone that's inspired and impactful in the community. Somebody that is, like I said, spreading this education and making sure I play my part to be the person that is helping educate those folks, helping them get into the house that they want, helping the community move forward. So real estate I'm extremely passionate about. I love talking about it. First off, I love houses. And it's just something that when we really get a grasp on this thing, on this home ownership, we can really go far. And that's something that I want to inspire in folks. Stop spending your money on liabilities and start investing in assets. Start investing in wealth building materials. Start investing in things that's going to help your family legacy. So that is what I'm passionate about. One of the things that I'm passionate about. But real estate is a tool. I like to use it as a tool.
I like how you bring that statistic up. It's so important that people understand that it's not favoritism towards black people. It's just that with technology coming so aggressively in our economy, we have to wake up black people and getting them access to ownership because healthcare is increasing, pharmaceuticals, housing, everything's increasing. And if you don't understand that you have to build wealth to keep up just with inflation, that should be just your main goal.
Right.
It's not even, sometimes happiness is great, but it's like, can I just keep up with inflation, with groceries? And that's why it's so important that black people and minorities that live in urban areas that don't have access to certain inspiration or certain capital, they need to just figure out, how can I get that information? How can I learn how to leverage it? How can I build credit? And that is so important because now we're not competing on the national scale anymore. It's global. And so now you're competing for resources for people in Russia and Turkey and China. And so it's like, what are you bringing to the table beyond just, I've came from a hard background? What are you doing to leverage? How are you building relationships in the community that you won't become another statistic? And that's my biggest thing is I love how we're trying to do that here in Tulsa with different capital sources, because you have to also look like a good investment. Most business owners that are minority owned, some of them are starting to look more like good investments that Wall Street can then invest in. But you can't have this small business and then get resentful that you don't have opportunity or you can't grow because you don't look like the investment that Wall Street's used to. So having that knowledge and that mentors that can make your restaurant or your nail salon look like a Wall Street play, where it can be a hybrid, where it can be real estate but also retail, or it can also be where it can bring in social media revenue. So now you have a hybrid where it's a slash media slash nail shop slash real estate deal. Fold that up, and then I can flip it to the market, and then I can really bring transfer of wealth, because you have to figure out what are the institutional investors like, and not just that they want to invest in black. What are you bringing, and how are you going to produce more value to that investor? And then we can really start transferring, lending, and creating more banks that are geared towards minorities.
I also think another piece of it is that in Tulsa, we are hearing this phrase being used often that I absolutely love, which is there's a focus on creating an unfair advantage for Black entrepreneurs right now to help not really level the playing field, but just to, bring everyone up to where the bar is, or at least identify like where are the like where's the standard going, kind of how you said, like how do we just like train people, whether we have to just give the unfair advantage to Black people to be able to keep up with inflation, like this is our focus right now. But I think something that's important is that this is only a window of time that this focus is going to be so aggressively on the Black community. And how do we leverage that? I have absolutely no idea other than get started. It's like one thing we're talking about on the show all the time is we have to get started, and if we and that ties all the way back into what we said at the beginning of the show. Like, it's August, like if you haven't gotten started yet this year on your goals, like now's the time, especially as a Black person in America, where there are so many resources nationwide that are just being like availed to us to be able to, really support everyone getting in the game. And so I just think that that's really important too, what you just said. It's like it's not that it's not favoritism. It's like, how do we get everyone in the game without like leaving anyone too far behind? Because like the gap is only going to continue to get bigger. And the biggest thing that I'm paying attention to is like there's maybe a two-year window, maybe. Some people think it's closer to 3 to 5, but I'm thinking, you know, we don't know. Like,
Opportunity
this is
moves like
America.
this.
Like, this is America. We don't know. We have no idea.
That's so good. Exactly. And I want to invite everyone to the baseball game. We're going to be launching our startup on August 13th at the Tulsa Drillers game. So we'd love to support
Nice.
that. Yeah.
Nice. You said August 13th?
Yes. And it'll be at Driller Stadium. And so it'll be a cool video, and you can see a little highlight reel of our software.
Oh, good.
So CJ, I have a couple of questions for you. I'm really curious about your business structure. So can you tell us, I know you described the ecosystem in which you have in place right now, but what is your role in that ecosystem? Are you the visionary? Are you the one that is doing some coding? Are you designing this technology? Or how do you make it come together? Do you have different people in place per business, or is it a team of you all and you're all collaborating on the same idea?
That's a great question. It's a full question too. So you said back to business structure. So I've always been a student of business structure. A lot of times, the way you structure your business, it can predict if you're going to be successful or not, just through it taxation, through how you're going to move resources, how you can also use other entities to loan to other entities. So you can have a nonprofit, but then that can loan to a for-profit. I think it's so important on business structure, on understanding that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, because you just don't want to go up, okay, everyone has a C Corp or everyone has an S Corp. No, understand just general business structure, so then you can leverage as you scale, or if you need to hire contractors or you need to hire employees. So I'm big on being a student of business structure. And then I am a visionary by heart, but I love to do everything till it gets done or till I find someone that can do it better. So I code a little bit. I've learned how to code, but I actually outsourced it for this particular project. And we use Indigo Technologies because I wanted the best coders and software engineers and people on this, so then we could go to market a lot quicker, and then we can then create more opportunity for other people that are learning coding or going to school at Hoberton to kind of get access to that environment. But my goal was to outsource with a technology company that favored entrepreneurs and wanted to see my vision go in fruition. And then I also have a partner named Ed Bogle. He's the lead strategist, and he's been in senior housing for over 30 years, but he's also helped a lot of entrepreneurs get to market and to get access to capital. And so I'm really big on being the visionary, but also continuing to find other people that can bring the vision forward, because I might can reach people that Ed can't reach, and Ed can reach people that I can't reach. And so I'm always big on figuring out how I can have a diverse team, because they can click with someone that might can write a check quicker than if I had to do the talking all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it.
Partnership is like so underrated.
Yes,
You know?
alliance partnerships are so important, and knowing when to partner is important too. But it goes back to understanding, being a student of business structure, really studying how generational wealth works, and how trust funds and asset, and how not having some one person control of each trust fund. So there's a lot of things that I love about that. I think that's a definitely follow up radio show for sure about business structure, because a lot of black people don't understand that you just don't transfer assets once you've built something for yourself to individuals. You have the entity work in the interests of the family's longevity and the sustainability of that family, and not an individual. So you always create a business structure that I'm building a business, then I'm going to sell it, and then put it in a trust that then can outlive me and my children's children, and they have to either pretty much have guidelines for that. So that's pretty much the importance of just teaching your kids to be leaders, and not, I need to get this because you worked hard for it.
I do want to circle back to something that you said, because this conversation that we're having today, it is, it's kind of, it's really complex compared to a lot of the topics that we talk about usually. And so, I want to be a good host by pulling out some of these nuggets that people can, use right now that feel relatable. And one thing you just said, it's like we agree that partnership is important. And you said, but knowing when to partner. When do you think is like, how do you know when to partner?
And you got to follow your gut, and you have to use your wisdom, and then you also have to figure out, what does that individual want. And if you can't figure out what that particular partner wants to extent just through conversation of like what are their drivers, then it's not best to partner with them. And then also, I believe in integrity, and I'm pretty good at reading discernment, but also having people on your team that also have a great discerning, I call it discerning spirit, where they can kind of tell if someone really is opportunistic, or if someone just wants to flip this business and just get money out of it, or they're really trying to long term. Because some investors can be good or bad for you. Because some investors just want to flip. I want to get this and get an exit out of it. But then it's like, so how can we really bring great quality and great cash flow if we're just focusing on flipping a project?
I actually learned that with one of the organizations that I worked at previously, and and I had a mentor who used to teach me that as well. He's just like, like, sure, I have the money,
Mm-hmm.
the organization has the money. Yes, we can help you, but is it in your best interest to receive help from us? And he was always very upfront around what his interests were. And it's hard when you're seeking capital and partnership, right? Because it's like you want a partner because you don't know what to do, and so like you want to help and you want to brainstorm, and you also recognize you don't know what you don't know. But
Absolutely.
what happens when the standards and the expectations that the investor are giving you are like, I mean, I don't know, maybe it sounds good, like let's just do it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like I think what you're saying more than anything is like, don't partner with anyone you don't understand.
Absolutely,
It's
absolutely,
like,
and
don't invest in anything you don't understand.
keep asking great questions as an entrepreneur, because you can't be so desperate for money, but you just have to be vigilant and know to protect certain aspects of your idea, and knowing how to be 20 steps forward and then go back and then figure out how I can find great partners. And I think entrepreneurs, if you can really build out your vision and then go steps back and then make it back into the incubator stage, you can be more effective. So then you know when to pivot, because now you've seen this full scope of where you want to go, or at least where you want to drive the organization.
Yeah. No, I understand that. What you got for us, John?
Man, CJ, you said something to me. I'm kind of going back to the answer just before this last one, and you hinted on legacy. So I am curious, my man, with all this work that you're putting in, you're not just, it's obvious that you're not just working for today.
No.
So what do you foresee your legacy being? What would you want your legacy to look like?
Man, that's a deep question. That's a great question. It's first that I've served people well, and they were able to have access to either a good job or something about economic empowerment, something where they became an investor just because they implemented a strategy I told them, or they were part of a project that I made them more of an investor first and a consumer second. So, and then third is that I made them think to give back in a way to honor God and really bring a kingdom mindset. So that's kind of my legacy I'm building, that being not perfect, definitely. I'm not perfect at all. But if you can drop nuggets and point people in the right direction so they can become investors and then great leaders and then great contributors, and then consuming what you want, like great outfits. I like to look good. I like good food. It's still important, but that's not the main focus, because to build long-term wealth, you have to collaborate and make sure that your surroundings are good. Your people that are going to the grocery store that you go to, and figuring out how you can better their lives, and then your lives will be just massively impactful, especially when you work with a network. I tell all my friends before they move into a new city is figure out how you can tap into the network of money, because a lot of times people might have a great idea, but you're not tapped into the network of commerce, and so it can be depressing and not fulfilling, because you think, well, I have all this talent, but you're not in the network. And so you have to figure out what that network is and how you can contribute to that network. And then sooner or later, as you're building a business, you begin to build your old ecosystem around what you built.
Definitely. Well, I think what I like about what you're saying is that, it's keeping God involved in what you're
Absolutely.
doing. I too am a believer. I too just think I want my legacy to like give God glory. Like I want people to remember me for just overwhelming generosity. And generosity isn't always going to look like money. Sometimes it'll look
Mm-hmm.
like time. Sometimes it'll look like partnering on someone's strategy. Sometimes it'll look like having conversations to advocate for people behind closed doors. And just recognizing, kind of like something we said earlier, is we might ascend to the next level. We might get to the point where resources feel not only available to us, but like abundant to us. But when we look back, it's like not everyone feels that way about life. This actually reminds me of when I used to say it all the time. Like John can tell you, it's like Tulsa is so fascinating because like you're only two people away from anyone you want to know. And I say that so often, but then I started running into people, and they're like, we've been in Tulsa for 20 years and we've met a lot of people, and we have not met anyone who can help us with this situation. And I just thought, like, wow, it was such a privilege for me to be able to say that. And I just, like, I didn't know, And so when I think about just like wanting to create a legacy around generosity, sometimes it's just creating opportunities and spaces that, may be an everyday thing for me, but they're not for other
Absolutely.
people, So I absolutely love that. And I think that whenever you keep faith first, like, you keep service first. And I think, like, that's ultimately the most important thing.
Despise small beginnings. I think that's the important thing. Don't despise small beginnings. Don't despise small actions, because there's a reaction for everything.
Absolutely. So, man, this is good. This is good. I think that see that you have a light about you, man, and it's really inspirational. You know, you definitely are able to kind of provide a different type of energy that is just empowering. And that I know that this journey hasn't been easy. I know the journey hasn't been easy. I know you might have tripped and stumbled sometimes along the way. And I think that's what the audience sometimes they want to hear. Like what's a time where you or describe a failure that you learned from and that has made you stronger and maybe gotten you to this point even in your journey.
Yeah, that's great. So, uh, the thing is, that's a great question. Sometimes when you get used to just going through hardship, but you just figure out how I can leverage it. And so you never become a victim. You always say, God, we can do this. And I've always played sports. So sports have always gave me that same mindset of like, I'm going to plow through. And so going back to what you said about failure is I failed on a project that I spent a lot of time with, and it was in the media industry, and it was called the World Ambassador. And we were partnering with the United Nations Foundation, and we had these water bottles that were going to be interactive, have interactive images on the outside of the water bottle. And we got a connection with Whole Foods, and they were able to give us a spot on their aisle, because the cool thing about that, it's very hard to get retail space. So we had the retail space, and we had the bottling company already lined up, and then we had the cool graphics for the water bottles, and we almost had the project through, but certain individuals didn't see the impact that it could have, or they didn't see how they could benefit enough from it. And so that's when Ciore was talking about, when to know to partner is you have to know that even though if you're helping people, that may not be the thing that gets the project through. It has to be to the self interest of the people that are maybe the decision makers to get your particular product to market or get the particular capital that you need to move forward. So figure out the self interest of those decision makers, and then still have your passion and your drive to make impact in your heart. And so learning how to really use that as a way of not a failure, but as a way of now I have to leverage the self interest of decision makers or the partners that I have to collaborate with, less of the passion of I really want to reach these individuals and give them access to capital or access to a job or just access to great encouragement. And so that's why I've learned from, you could say, that failure, but I met some great people. You meet some great leaders and great relationships I still have today that I can use as a resource when I'm ready to cross that bridge again or to get in that space. So I wouldn't consider that a failure, but I just learned how to power through and leverage
Powering through and leveraging is
everything.
it's everything. It's
Hmm.
absolutely everything. And so today's been an exciting conversation. It's been very eye opening. Usually I'm always having usually I always have the mindset, okay, what can we talk about on the show today to be able to help educate, our listeners. And today I feel like I was sitting on the show and I was like, oh man, that was good. I felt educated. And so just like, thank you so much for just coming in and like leading with authenticity and transparency and like just really putting the information where we can reach it. Cause I too believe that, you know, it's not about favoritism right now, like all the resources that are available. It's all about like we're only as strong as the weakest link, and as the economy continues to grow and excel, we have to do our part to make sure like as many people are getting on board as possible.
Absolutely.
And so
Exactly.
you've given me the perspective to think about this time as a very gracious time, because the gap could just be overwhelming and like no one could care, and like that would be worst case scenario. Like that would be worst case scenario. And so, I never thought about it that way. And so, yeah, thank you for sharing. And, I think a lot of people learned a lot about, you started off telling us about your background, which is extremely inspiring. And, you told us about, kind of what you believe and, your perspective on money, how you got into entrepreneurship. But as crazy as this sounds, like the question I want to leave off on is just like, what makes you happy? Like, what do you do for fun?
Oh, what I do for fun? So I like to go dancing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I love good music. I love good music. And then I also love the outdoors. So, I need to get back into fishing. And I love going to anything water. So when I lived in Wellington, Florida, I just loved going to the beach and just looking at the ocean and just taking that in. So I really believe in having your safe space and what that looks like. It could be going to Riverside and watching the water rise and the levees keep going. No, I'm joking. But it's just kind of finding that safe space outdoors where you can see creation and creativity.
I was on Riverside this morning. But, thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you
you for the
so
opportunity.
much. Yes, for being here on the show, letting us get to learn a little bit more about you. Thank you for just, being willing just to share a piece of yourself. And for the listeners out here who want to be able to get in touch with you or follow up, what's some contact information for you?
You can email me at cj@seniorliving.tech. That's cj@seniorliving.tech.
All right.
Yes,
Great,
most
great,
definitely
great.
stay in touch.
Good, good, good. Well, thank you there. And for my final announcement for today, because I think it's important always to throw these good plugs in. If anyone out here in the audience knows of a Black or brown or underrepresented founder who's interested in building a brick and mortar business, or they're interested in figuring out what does it mean to create business, there is a new 15-week academy here in Tulsa that is taking new applications all the way up until this Friday. The program is extremely affordable and it's being hosted by the TEDC. So please be sure to look into that program. It is called Mortar, and you can sign up or you can learn more information at the TEDC.net, tedcnet.com/mortar, or you can always just contact KBOB and we'll be happy to get that information to you as well. But thank you so much for the day. Thank you so much for tuning in with us on a Monday. We love you. We look forward to seeing you next week. And we hope that you have a great rest of your day.